Hey guys, my name is Rhys Switzer, and I am going to be presenting Implantable Brain-Computer Interface for Neuroprosthetic-Enabled Volitional Hand Grasp Restoration in Spinal Cord Injury by Cajigas et al. So a little bit of background, and for this particular research, we're going to be talking about brain-computer interfaces and neuroprosthetics. So in this case, the brain-computer interface is really just anything that's going to take signals from the brain and translate them into something that a computer can use. In this case, we're using electrocorticography, which is just going to be these electrodes implanted under the skull on the surface of the brain to gather electrical activity of the brain. We're going to be translating that to an orthosis, which is just an assistive device that's going to be worn on the right hand in this case, that's going to stimulate the hand to either open or close, either using functional electrical stimulation to directly stimulate the muscles, or it's going to be a mechanical orthosis just to mechanically force the hand open or closed. And the reason that we're looking at this is because we are interested in working with this patient that has spinal cord injury that is affecting his ability to open and close his right hand. So this altogether is going to be our neuroprosthetic device. So why are we looking at this? This particular research is interested in looking at how in the lab there's been demonstrations of that these BCIs can be very useful for controlling the movement and grasp of patients with spinal cord injury. However, these kinds of fully implanted and really portable systems are not very commonly found in the home setting. So they're really interested in looking at, can we take this kind of implanted BCI approach to regain that hand grasp, and can we use it both in the lab, and then can we successfully translate that into the home environment? So their goals and their research questions are really, what is the efficacy, safety, and long-term usability of this implanted BCI for controlling that volitional hand grasp? Can it be successfully implemented in that at-home setting? What levels of functionality will we find? And what is the real accuracy of this system that they've developed? So for their methodology, they went with an SCI screening, so a spinal cord injury screening. We are dealing with what's almost a case study, really, because it was only one participant that they did this whole procedure with. So they had to find the right person with the right kind of injury in the right place that really worked well with their procedure. They then did the implantation of that electrocorticography array. So that was a 4-electrode array that they implanted on the contralateral motor cortex area. So since we're talking about right hand grasp, they put it on the left hemisphere. So then they moved on to both laboratory and home data collections. The only thing we really need to know about the difference between these two was that the movement in the laboratory data collection was driven by functional electrical stimulation, and they collected data about functional changes, clinical changes, and the accuracy of their decoder. Whereas in the home setting, they were able to do the movement with a mechanical orthosis, and they were only able to collect data on the clinical changes and the accuracy of the decoder, but not the functional changes. I think this was due to COVID restrictions, they said. So for their results, looking first at that decoder performance, the decoding algorithm is basically just the algorithm that is translating the signals from the brain into the signal to the orthosis to open or close. So their decoder performed pretty well in the laboratory with a mean accuracy of about 89% in their open loop tests. And it also performed pretty well in the home setting with a mean accuracy of about 91% for open loop and 88% for closed loop when it was used on these non-ambiguous windows of data. And then for functional improvements that were pretty much only evaluated during the lab portion, they did find that there were significant improvements over the course of several weeks for the accuracy and placement of objects, as well as the ability to lift these small or heavy objects with the orthosis. And they also found that there were improvements in both the handwriting speed and clarity and the pinch force of the participant. For their clinical assessments, which were looking at things like perceived independence, pain levels, and health status, things of that nature, they didn't really find much in the way of notable clinical changes. However, they did see that the participant regained some of the ability to volitionally extend their right thumb. This was notable, but couldn't really be attributable to their design or their device. It was just something kind of anecdotal that they thought was interesting and noted down. Over here, we just have basically the graph showing the accuracy of the decoder in the home setting. So you can see it was fairly accurate. So what are the real takeaways that we want from all of this? Basically, their main take-home message is that their methodology resulted in this implanted BCI system that was successfully able to control that hand grasp, and it was able to do so both in the lab and in the home setting. They really want to show that there are these viable routes for this technology to exit the lab, to move into the home setting to help people with this kind of injury regain functionality even, outside of the lab during their daily life. So this has a lot of implications in the design and research of these kinds of assistive devices and neuroprosthetics going forward, really showing that these implanted systems are something we should really be looking at. All right, and that's pretty much everything I have for you guys. Thank you very much.